Good day, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Military and Foreign Affairs Network. I am your host, the voice of reason. Today, we're continuing our ongoing coverage of the war between the Russian Federation and the Ukraine. Now, as I make this video, the French are continuing to offer their military support to the Ukrainians. Macron, who is incredibly unpopular in France, he may be one of the most unpopular leaders ever that has existed in the French Republic. Not only that, he is leading to the cultural suicide of France itself, the destruction of France. Now, at the same time, France is destroying itself by allowing mass illegal migration. It is also sticking its nose in this ongoing military conflict. Now, I would say thus far, the most capable military systems that have been provided to the Ukrainians are French artillery systems. The light armored vehicles, the light tanks that have been provided to the Ukrainians by the French have not held up very well. Even artillery shell splinters are penetrating the sides of the hull and killing the Ukrainian occupants and or the NATO mercenaries that are fighting for the Ukrainians. And when I say mercenaries, I mean peoples from Western Europe, peoples from the United States, Canada, South America, South Africa, that are fighting for the Ukrainians. Now, at the same time, the French are training Ukrainian combat brigades. So one of the first fully staffed, fully trained by the French combat brigades, I believe it's the 155th Brigade, someone will probably correct me if I'm wrong on that, is about to be deployed back to Ukraine from France. I imagine that those soldiers training in France are not looking forward to heading towards the very, very cold, inhospitable front lines of the war. Now, what we are also not hearing about is Ukrainians who are training in France who have decided to go MIA, who have decided to leave the Ukrainian army, leave their base, and attempt to seek asylum and not have to go to war. I'm not hearing a lot about that. We know it's happening, but the media doesn't cover that. They don't talk about that, but it's happening. Now, the newest piece of French equipment is going to be the Mirage 2000. This is a fairly popular aircraft. And I would say that if the Mirage 2000 is your primary aircraft, it suits its purpose. It's a very capable aircraft. Is it going to be able to operate in the Eastern Theater of Operations? Is it going to be able to operate anywhere close to the ongoing front lines? Probably not. The Russians will shoot them down. Obviously, they're not low observable. We believe that they will simply be used much like the F-16s. They'll take off, stay at very low altitude, pop up, release a glide munition, a JDAM, and or some sort of maybe a Storm Shadow missile or what have you, and then head back to NATO territory. And look, many of these aircraft, many of these operations are starting in Eastern Europe. They're starting in Poland. They're starting in Romania. They touch down briefly in the western portions of Ukraine. Then they take off. They conduct their mission. And then they fly back to these Eastern European countries. Otherwise, Russian Iskanders would hunt them down and destroy those aircraft at those air bases in Western Ukraine. But for the Ukrainians, right now, if you look at the aircraft that is in their Air Force right now, so originally mainly Soviet era aircraft, MiG-29s, Su-27s, Su-24s, Su-25s. Then we added American F-16s. And now we are adding French Mirage 2000s. You just don't hand over an aircraft, okay, and say, hey, it's yours, have fun with it. It's much, much more complicated than that. There are maintenance. Maintenance is huge, especially with Western aircraft. So you need this infrastructure to be able to maintain these Mirage 2000s. At the same time, you're maintaining F-16s, and then you're also maintaining your MiG-29s, Su-27s, what have you. So this is not an easy task, even for a country that's not at war, such as Taiwan. Taiwan, its primary aircraft is the F-16. However, they have just under 50 Mirage 2000s. That's a challenge for them because, again, their maintenance is based around the F-16 and some of their indigenous aircraft. And then, obviously, now they're also trying to maintain the Mirage 2000, which is not an easy task. So, with the Russians continuing to strike rear areas, supply depots, maintenance depots, all across Ukraine, and this is ongoing, will the Ukrainians even be able to maintain these French Mirage 2000s? Man, difficult to say. So if the Ukrainians are not maintaining the Mirage 2000s, which I contend they are not, I firmly believe, again, most of these missions, if we start to see Mirage 2000 sorties, are going to be launched from Western Europe. They're going to be launched from Poland in Romania. Again, maybe a brief touchdown. They're going to fly very low and then conduct operations against Russian forces. Now, as for the ongoing war, again, let's look at the deep state map. This is a Ukrainian-supported site. Okay, so much of this information kind of gravitates towards the benefit of the doubt towards Ukrainian forces. Now let's just look at what has happened, especially kind of in this southern sector, running from Pokrovsk south towards the former defensive redoubt of Volodar, now Ugledar. So again, this methodical creep by Russian forces, constantly moving forward in perpetuity, and at the same time, again, as I've said before, not so much about taking territory. It's about degrading and destroying the Ukrainian military. Think back to World War I. If any of you individuals want to see what the Russians are doing, look at what happened to the Germans during World War I, especially on the Western Front. Go back to a map that displays that the territory that the Germans occupied at the end of World War I. They were still in France. They weren't fighting in Germany. The Germans still maintained control over Allied nation-state territory. They were not fighting in Germany. But the Germans capitulated because of attrition. And this is what we're seeing right now happening in the Ukraine. And there's a lot of talk in the West right now, NATO states, the United States, about where this is going, how this is going to end. And with the elections coming up here in the ununited States of America, this could possibly change things. I believe that due to fraudulent activity, Kamala Harris will remain as the figurehead in control of the ununited States. Now, if I'm proven wrong, and I really hope I am, I really do, I'll have to reassess. I will absolutely reassess, and it's a positive reassessment. But I think at this point, in all likelihood, due to what is happening with illegal migration here in the ununited States, the inflow of millions upon millions of illegal immigrants who are being taken care of by this unitary one-party state, the probability of a defeat at the election when you have much of South America heading towards your borders and entering your country unabated with the intent of changing the outcome, and at the same time you have the Democrats who are allowing this to happen, and it's purpose-driven. So if there is a change in administrations, this is going to change things big time for the Ukrainians, obviously. So I have to wonder how much support internally here in the United States is the Ukrainian intelligence service. No one's talking about this. But I got to tell you, the Ukrainians do not want to see Donald Trump in office. Absolutely not. So we're going to continue to cover the conflict, the continued track towards global war. You're watching it here. As always, thank you for joining us. Have a good day.